the following program are those of the program's participants and do not necessarily reflect those of station staff, management, and advertisers.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Friday. It is Pushing the Limits. Thanks, everybody, for being here on what is another very busy news day. Man, we got a lot to talk about today. We got a lot to go over, including Democrats releasing some more Epstein Trump photos. Oh, yeah. It's getting worse for Donald Trump. He's panicking. Even the Republican chair caught on audio saying there's no chance they're going to win the midterms. Yeah, we'll get to all that. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, this is going to be a lot of fun. Guy, by the way, I didn't know this guy wrote the song Yes We Can, the Barack Obama campaign song. He wrote that. He's won Grammys. He's won BMI awards. He's basically won everything you could win in the music industry. And he's also the longtime lead guitar player for a very, very popular band, and a band that you might have heard of before. They're called the Black Eyed Peas. They're kind of popular. He's a great dude, and he's worked with just pretty much everybody in the music industry, including Michael Jackson and Prince. George Passion's going to be joining us in studio. That's going to be a lot of fun. I cannot wait to talk to him. But I want to get right down to business. Of course, we're in the YouTube Super Chat. We're on the website, pushingthelimits.live. We're on X. We're everywhere, right? And on this Friday, Democrats on the House Oversight Committee released a second batch of images from the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein's estate. Some of those pictures include Donald Trump. 95,000 photos. Now, Donald Trump's got to be shaking in his boots because this is going to be released in a week, everything, supposedly. We'll get to that here in a little bit. Now, the Republican chair was caught on audio making the case that he doesn't believe the Republicans have a chance to win the 2026 midterms. Now, I wouldn't count your chickens yet, but I tend to believe that Republicans are in for it because of one man. He happens to be a 34-count felon and an adjudicated rapist. But I want you to listen to what some Republicans are saying as excuses for why they're not doing very well. Glenn Youngkin claiming Virginia swung hard to the left last month. Why? He's blaming Democrats. Listen to this.
I firmly believe that the most recent November elections were negatively impacted by the government shutdown. The races were tight just weeks before the final day of election. And listen, the Democrat Senate engineered the government shutdown. They executed on it for a whole host of reasons. The public blames Republicans for it. And it was a massive impact into that election cycle. And then, of course, as soon as the election was over, the Democrat senators opened back up the government again. So I just think there's a real recognition that the Senate Democrats manipulated the American people, and I think unfairly held them hostage at that time. But it showed in the election results. My job as governor today is to make sure that Virginia is continuing to soar.
Yeah, okay. Nice excuse, Glenn. You guys ran the House. You ran the Senate. You ran everything. The last time we had a government shutdown, you guys were also in charge. So Glenn can make every excuse in the book. He's the official Trump mushroom gobbler of the day. But it's not because Democrats manipulated anybody, okay? It's because you guys were in charge. There was a government shutdown. And most of the general public, yes, does actually blame Republicans and idiots like you. You know why? This idiot, the guy in office right now who says there's peace in the Middle East, Donald J. Trump. Have a listen to what he had to say about this today.
Can you confirm that you have appointed a general to lead the stabilization forces in Gaza? What will be his mission and how soon do you want to see?
Well, we're working very strongly on Gaza. Yeah, we're working very much on Gaza. We actually do have a real peace in the Middle East. We have 59 countries supporting it, which has never happened before. We have countries that want to come in and take care of Hamas, as an example. We have countries that want to come in and take care of Hezbollah in Lebanon, as an example. And I say, right now you don't have to do that. You may have to do that, but we have countries that are volunteering to come in and literally take care of the whole thing. We have a great peace in the Middle East. It's never happened before. And I think it's very strong, actually.
Yeah, there's definitely peace in the Middle East. Ask the families of those who have lost their lives when Hamas was going door to door executing people just a month ago. Peace in the Middle East when Israel breaks a ceasefire and Hamas breaks a ceasefire within 48 hours. But yet, Donald Trump claims that there's peace in the Middle East. Are you kidding me? Yeah, just like the war was going to be over in Ukraine within 24 hours. Is this a joke? Is this a joke? There is no peace in the Middle East. He didn't end the war in Ukraine. In fact, you could make the case that it's worse off now than it was on day one. He didn't lower prices on virtually anything. We've had 5 months straight of inflation headed in the wrong direction. Most people would say we are headed towards a recession. The reason why, Mr. Glenn Youngkin, why Virginia swung hard to the left is because you guys decided that you would want to put an adjudicated rapist and a 34-count felon as the leader of the Republican Party. That's why. Tariffs have ruined the economy, and he has ruined what was a secure democracy when he continues to lie about the 2020 election. But it gets worse, because Democrats on the House Oversight Committee today have released a second batch of images from the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein's estate. I've posted some of these pictures on my Facebook page, the official Facebook fan page of the Pushing the Limits show. And in these pictures, you see more pictures of Donald Trump with some women that might be alleged victims. We don't know, but their faces are blacked out in this. More pictures with him and Jeffrey Epstein, more pictures with him at parties, more pictures of him with very young girls. And you could see those pictures, as I said, on my Facebook page, the Pushing the Limits fan page. Now, there are other people that have appeared in these pictures as well. Steve Bannon, for example, former President Bill Clinton, Larry Summers, Bill Gates, Woody Allen, Richard Branson, and others, and Alan Dershowitz. But this is not a good look for the current President of the United States. And as we've learned, next Friday, a week from today, that's right, a lot of this stuff is supposed to be released. So Thomas Massie was asked, what if the DOJ doesn't release the files? Listen to his response.
If DOJ doesn't release the files it has by next Friday, is there anything Congress can do to compel that to happen?
Well, I mean, it's a crime if they don't. It's not like they're in contempt of Congress because they didn't respond to a subpoena. This is a new law with, criminal implications if they don't follow it. But I was encouraged, again, by the fact that they went back to these 3 judges and got the judges to release the grand jury material to the DOJ.
Thank you,
Is that grand jury material enough, do you think,
No.
to comply with the law?
No, the grand jury material is just a small fraction of what the DOJ needs to release, because the FBI and DOJ probably has evidence that they chose not to take to the grand jury, because the evidence they're in possession of would implicate other people, not Epstein or Maxwell. So the grand jury material is probably going to just be mostly facts and evidence that was used to convict those 2. And what we want to see are the facts and evidence that the FBI and the DOJ have never given to a grand jury.
So there you go. That's kind of breaking it down. Thomas Massie, who obviously has been very consistent and been on the side of release all the files. He's one of the few Republicans that have done that. So I give him credit for that. A week from today, all this stuff is supposed to be released. And if they don't release it, Thomas Massie's 100% correct. It is against the law. It is a crime. Now, Garcia, Representative Garcia, a Democrat, gave us a little bit more information about all the photographs they received. Have a listen to this. Apparently, we are working on playing this audio, as it's not, for whatever reasons, it's not playing. I don't know why. But what we're talking about is we're talking about the Epstein photographs and the files that were released to the Democrat Party that were released just within the last 24 hours. And as I mentioned, several of those photos showing Donald Trump hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein and possible underage girls. We don't know. So this is the clip that I wanted to play for you of Garcia, who's kind of breaking down all the photographs that they received in the last 24 hours. Have a listen to this.
Obviously, just last night we received about 95,000 photographs from the Epstein estate. I want to be clear. Our committee, Oversight Democrats, have gone through maybe about 25,000 of them so far. So there's an enormous amount of photos that we have not gone through. It will take days and weeks to ensure that we go through those photos and that a redaction is done in the appropriate way. Let me just also say that clearly we have put out, I think maybe 15 to 20 of those photos this morning, Democrats have. We will continue to put out more photos in the days and weeks ahead. But I just caution folks that the redaction process and ensuring that we are protecting the survivors and the women who were abused by Epstein are protected.
Which I think is very important and appropriate, but some of the photos that they've already released, they've already blacked out some of the faces of some of those women. Now, they could be underage girls. We don't know. They could be some of the victims. We don't know. All I can tell you is this is not good news for Donald Trump. Now, Garcia went on to even say that some of the photos that were out today that they haven't even put out, though, some of the photos that he says they didn't put out are even worse. Listen to this.
Right now, our plan is to demand that the president release the files, and we'll see what he does on the 19th. But I think, again, these pictures, some of these photos are really disturbing. And I know we've put some out today. There are many others. And some of the other photos that we did not put out today are incredibly disturbing.
So one of those images that was just released a few hours ago shows what appears to be a bowl of novelty condoms with a caricature, of Donald Trump's face on it. The bowl has a sign that says Trump condom, $4.50, and each condom bears an image of Trump's face with the text next to it that says, "I'm huge." If you ask Stormy Daniels, she would probably say that is not factually accurate. Another showed Trump with 6 women whose faces are redacted. Now, that could mean a number of different things. They could be alleged victims, and if they are, probably not a good look for Donald Trump. Again, more of these photos are going to be released. There's some 95,000 of them, and the Democrats released maybe 10 to 15 photos today. Some of those, as I mentioned, Donald Trump with women, faces that have been blacked out because you want to protect alleged victims. This is not good. It's not good for Donald Trump and his administration, and we'll see if the DOJ breaks the law themselves a week from today. It's funny. I don't see any pictures of Joe Biden with these alleged underage girls hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein at his place. Don't see that. I don't see any pictures of Kamala Harris hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein or on the Epstein flight log. I wonder why that is. I don't see any pictures of Barack Obama hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein. Do you? I mean, I don't. But Donald Trump is seen, and Donald Trump has been doing everything and anything he can to try to make this story go away. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? It's not. And thanks to Thomas Massie, I'll even thank Marjorie Taylor Greene, who I despise, and Lauren Boebert, who I despise, and Nancy Mace, who I despise. At least they've been right on one issue, which is releasing all the files, which is the last thing that Donald Trump wants. And quite frankly, it's probably the last thing that many in Donald Trump's administration want because they protect pedophiles. And we've been hearing for years about how MAGA Republicans are the ones that were talking about how Democrats are the pedophiles and the Hollywood elitists and are pedophiles. They're all lefty Democrat pedophiles. We've been hearing it for years. But then it turns out the same people that have been saying that are the ones that are protecting Donald Trump and the ones that are protecting all the pedophiles that are in the Epstein files. And the fundamental difference right now between Democrats and Republicans, and trust me, there's plenty of them, but the fundamental difference between now where we're at is that Democrats don't care if there are Democrats in the Epstein files. They have said on the record, we don't care whether there are Democrats or Republicans in there. We want everything exposed to the public. Why would they say that? And then all the Republicans say, well, why didn't Joe Biden release the Epstein files when he was president? Not that it matters. What matters is the times we're in right now. But you see, the Maxwell trial was going on, and all these files were sealed, and it would have been illegal for Joe Biden to do so. But what matters right now is that virtually every single Democrat, every single elected official says release the files. And when they're asked, what if there are prominent Democrats in there? Their response is, so what? We want justice for the victims. Boy, you're not hearing that from Republicans, are you? Why is that? Why is that? I think I know the answer. Because Donald Trump is all over the Epstein files. He is all over the Epstein files. We've seen some reports that said that they have mentioned his name in the Epstein files over 1,000 times. He's all over the Epstein files. Did he commit criminal wrongdoing? I could give you my opinion and say most likely yes. What the hell was he doing hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein and some alleged victims and underage girls? Did he just get a massage? I think not. Yes, I believe Donald Trump was with underage girls. Release the files if the answer is no. Release all the files. Redact the victims' names. Release the files. A lot is supposed to be released a week from today, and we will see if the DOJ, Donald Trump's DOJ, breaks the law. I put those pictures up on my Facebook page, on the Pushing the Limits fan page. I put up several of these pictures that are pretty damaging. You can take a look at it, and you can judge for yourself. But as Garcia said, there are many more photos that are incredibly disturbing, he says, that they have not released yet, and they are doing their due diligence, and I give the Democrats credit for this. They obviously don't want to put out the faces or any private information of alleged victims. They have to be very careful, and they already have with some of the photos that have been released where they have blacked out some of the alleged victims' faces and some of those people right next to Donald Trump in photographs. So we will have to wait and see how this thing plays out. I have said it a million times, and I will say it again. Yes, Donald Trump is a liable sexual abuser. Yes, he was best friends with Jeffrey Epstein for a long period of time. Yes, I do believe there was sex trafficking going on at Mar-a-Lago. Yes, if you just talk about the way Donald Trump described his own daughter, he is a very sick man. Yes, I do believe there was criminal wrongdoing, and yes, I believe he's all over the Epstein files. There is a reason why every single time you bring up Jeffrey Epstein, Donald Trump wants the story to go away, and he goes on the defensive. The reason is, at a minimum, it makes him look horrible. At a minimum. I think there was criminal wrongdoing. And all the excuses from the right, oh, come on, if there was criminal wrongdoing, then why didn't the Democrats release the files? Well, that's not an excuse. Why don't you release them right now? Every single Democrat elected official right now wants the files to be released. Every single one. There's not one Democrat that I've heard that said, we shouldn't release the files. You know, let's protect everybody in the files. I haven't heard one Democrat talk like that. A lot of Republicans are talking like that. Why? For the same reason why they curl themselves into a pretzel every day and support a 34-count felon liable sexual abuser. Because they're afraid of Donald Trump. They are afraid. They will do and say whatever Donald Trump tells them to do, even though his approval ratings are in the dumpster. They will continue to stand by the 34-count felon. They will continue to stand by the adjudicated rapist. They will continue to stand by a despicable human being who hasn't been faithful to one woman his entire life. And by the way, from a policy perspective, a man who is absolutely ruining our economy. The tariffs have ruined our economy. They've made China great again. The proof is in the pudding. Why is he telling all of us only buy 2 or 3 dolls if the economy was A+++, which obviously it's not. Obviously that's a lie. Most people who are not partisan would tell you that are economic professionals would tell you that we are most likely headed towards a recession. Inflation has gone up for the 5th straight month. Caroline Leavitt and Donald Trump are continuing to lie about the economy. The private sector job growth is basically non-existent. We've had some of the worst numbers we've had in decades. The unemployment rate was 4.1% last I checked when Joe Biden left office. The last numbers we have from September, the unemployment rate rose to 4.7%. But they still want to blame Joe Biden. Let's be very clear. The months leading up to Joe Biden leaving office, the economy was headed in the right direction. The unemployment numbers were continuing to drop. Inflation numbers were continuing to drop. We were recovering from a global pandemic. And then Donald Trump took over, and his favorite word, tariff, has ruined this economy. Don't believe me? Ask the farmers. Ask those in the private sector. Ask small business owners. Or people in middle America that are struggling to live paycheck to paycheck, where Donald Trump is taking away their food stamps. Donald Trump is taking away their Medicaid. Over 20 million people in the big and beautiful bill, as he calls it. It's only beautiful for the richest people in this country, the tech billionaires, his billionaire friends. Make no mistake about it, the economy is great for some of the richest people in this country. It's phenomenal. I've never doubted that. It's never been about make America great again. Besides being make America white again, it's always been about making the rich richer. But this isn't just a Donald Trump policy. This is the way the Republicans have worked for decades. It's always giving tax breaks to the richest people in this country, and those that are struggling, that are living paycheck to paycheck, are always the ones that suffer. But yet so many of these stupid people in middle America keep voting for Republicans. What the hell have they done for you? They want to take every government program that you're on away from you. Every single one. They want to take maternity leave away. They want to shorten up unemployment benefits. They want to take welfare away from you. They want to take food stamps away from you. They want to take Medicaid away from you. They want to take every program that could help those that are struggling get by while giving the biggest tax breaks for the richest people. This is not just Donald Trump policy. Yes, Donald Trump has continued it, sure. But this is policy dating back to when I was born. George Bush Sr., George W. Bush. These presidents have continually gone through the Republican policies of taking away, or at least attempting to take away, government programs for people in this country that are struggling. Allocating funds, helping the homeless, helping those that are mentally ill. Every single time there's a mass shooting, they say, well, we got to do something about mental illness. Hey, you stupid, I almost said something on the air that I wasn't supposed to say, but you get where I'm going with this. Every single time there's a mass shooting, they talk about mental illness, but then they take away funds. Or when Democrats come up with proposals to allocate more money to help those that are mentally ill, Republicans shoot it down, for lack of a better term. They make it easier for people to get their hands on guns. They think drag queens are more dangerous to our children than gun violence in this country. They care about banning books. They want to go after homosexuals, take away Gay Pride Month, take away Martin Luther King Day. But they want to honor Charlie Kirk every day, who was a scumbag, by the way. Yes, that's right. Wherever Charlie Kirk is right now, I'm talking to you, you were a scumbag, and you pushed hate, bigotry, racism, homophobia, transphobia. I'm sorry what happened to you, Charlie, but you were a horrible human being. But these are the types of people that they look up to. And whenever I bring up the Klan, Republicans always want to talk about, oh, well, you know, that was made by the Democrats. The Democrats started the Klan. Oh, really? Well, let's talk about right now. Who's in the Klan right now? David Duke? Who do you think he voted for? These white supremacists and these Proud Boy members and the Oath Keepers, who did they vote for? Can you find me a Democrat in any of these groups? Which are, by the way, far more dangerous than any Antifa person. By the way, Antifa meaning anti-fascist. It's not even an organization. I will leave you with some levity, though, before we take a break. Because I do think this is kind of funny. Maybe. You might find some levity in this on a Friday. So Donald Trump was speaking yesterday about Steve Scalise's wife. If you remember, Steve Scalise was shot by a nut. And he starts talking about his wife, you know, was constantly crying. Melania Trump is standing right next to him, stone-faced. Obviously, it's a contractual obligation moment where she has to spend a little bit of time around him. We know how much she despises him. And then Donald Trump makes a joke about, you know, women who don't cry when their husbands are injured or hurt. And Melania is standing right next to him. And all I could think about is the assassination attempts. And we know Melania wasn't doing any crying, that's for sure. Have a listen to this.
I went to the hospital, and they actually thought he wasn't going to make it. His wife was devastated. She was crying. I tell the story. I found out that night you have a wife that loves you dearly. I know many wives would not even be crying. But your wife was absolutely a mess. She was crying. She was inconsolable, Steve. So we found that out, but he made it.
Melania Trump standing right next to Donald Trump, stone-faced, never laughs. Why? I tend to think that Donald Trump was probably talking about his contractual wife. And yes, I don't think Melania would do what Erica Kirk is doing, using a tissue as a prop and doing a tour around the country asking people for money. I don't think she would do that. I think Melania Trump would take all that money. You wouldn't see her shedding one tear. She wouldn't want to ruin her makeup. Right. And all her plastic surgery. I think Melania Trump, in my personal opinion, wouldn't shed one tear and should be counting the money. That's what I think. And I don't think you would see Melania Trump at any Republican event ever again unless it meant she'd be making a lot of money. That's my personal opinion. Because just like Erica Kirk, Melania Trump is from the same cloth. They are both grifters. And that's all they ever will be. So here's what we're going to do, folks. We're going to take a quick break. Maybe we'll take some phone calls a little bit later. But the number to call, by the way, is 702-221-7283. And again, that number is 702-221-7283. George Passion's going to be joining us next in studio. He actually, which I didn't even know this, by the way, George actually wrote the song "Yes We Can," the 2008 Barack Obama campaign song. The guy's won every award in music that you could possibly think of. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with George. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Here's the deal. The country's a mess, and America's youth is stuck at the center of a tug-of-war between propaganda, billionaires, and political clowns who think TikTok is a national security threat, yet can't open their own email. But the real threat that keeps them up at night isn't TikTok. It's the power of the youth vote, and that's what the Unfuck America Tour is after. We're traveling the country, hitting campuses and cities, exposing the right wing's playbook and calling out all the tricks they use to hook young people. We saw the youth vote shift in 2024, and if we don't reclaim that momentum now, we lose the future, our future. We're not bankrolled by billionaires, corporations, or dark money. We're backed by regular people like you, who won't sit back while the rich strip this country for parts. We need you to help us stay on the road to push back against the misinformation machine. Click the link in the description or head over to unfuckamericatour.com to donate, because nobody else is coming to fix this mess.
Hey everybody, are you struggling to find a
All right, welcome back. Pushing the Limits on a Friday. Programming note for you. By the way, Z Cohen's going to be joining us in studio on Monday, the founder of the Un-F America Tour. And I'll be out there in Phoenix for AmFest next week. You know, I always love, I meet so many different people in Las Vegas. Like, I feel like every day, unique people, talented people. But the guy we have in studio with us right now, I'll be honest with you, I've been obviously a huge fan of the Black Eyed Peas. I love their music for such a long time. The guy we have in studio is not only like 27 years going strong, over 2 decades as the lead guitar player for that band, but he's worked with virtually everybody, and he's won pretty much almost. He's got Grammys, he's got BMI awards, and I wasn't even aware of this. He wrote the song for the 2008 Barack Obama campaign. Yes, we can. George Pahone joining us in studio. George, it is so good to see you. We just met last week, and I appreciate you being here. How are you?
I am awake.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you getting out of bed. I appreciate you me and George have one thing, and certainly one, besides we obviously love music, but we both like to go out and have a good time, right? There's nothing wrong with that. So
I love life, man.
Yes.
I'm very blessed that I get to live it this way, and I hate going to. I love going to sleep, and then I hate going to sleep because I just always say this. I wish I had like 10 more hours in a day.
Have there been shows that you've done where you were literally on zero sleep? I would imagine the answer would be yes.
Many.
Yeah, I assume that. So tell me where you grew up.
I grew up in Los Angeles, born and raised in LA.
LA. And when you were like in high school, did you say to yourself, man, I want to be a famous musician one day. I want to make music for a living. Like, when did that first day come for you?
I don't know why I daydreamed about this. I dreamed about it. I don't know where that came from. Like, none of my family members ever wanted to be in the position I was in. They all had, I had an uncle that showed me my first chords, and my first band that I ever played with other musicians was my dad, my uncle, and myself, and that was just, but none of them had professional ambitions. But I would be in high school, and my first book reports that I can remember were on Woodstock and and festivals, and I would daydream about being in front of that kind of audience, and I don't know where that came from, but I willed it to be. It's what I wanted. I knew from a very young age that that's what I wanted to do. I remember that. I remember specifically the day, my parents were very specific with me. If you stay in school, we'll take care of everything. So, I did really well in all education. Graduated from went to a very prestigious high school.
In LA.
In LA, yeah. I went to a high school that was a 5-year high school, and you graduated with your BA's degree.
Oh, wow.
And it was very difficult to get into. I had to pass a 13-hour test.
Wow.
But I actually loved school. I wasn't one of those guys.
I hated school.
Yeah, I loved it.
I hated it. So you love school. You want to be this famous musician. What was the first moment in your life, and how old were you, where you said, wow, this is actually going to be a reality? I can do this now. This is a reality.
Oh, first moment.
Where you just said to yourself, okay, it happened. I made it. I'm going to be doing this.
Probably. So I went on tour for the first time with the Black Eyed Peas in 1998, and my friend and I joined the band to get exposure for our band. We weren't
in 1998.
Yeah, we weren't considering
Wow.
leaving our band to join the Peas.
So you're in a local band, George.
Yes.
And you're offered the opportunity to be the guitar player in Black Eyed Peas. And in 1998, nobody knew that the Black Eyed Peas would be one of the most popular bands of our generation.
No, not at all. Not even close.
So you had no idea. You're just doing it for yourself to try to get popularity with your own band.
Yes.
And then and the Black Eyed Peas you guys just blow up.
Well,
and you wrote a lot of their songs too.
Yeah, that came way later.
Yeah.
We didn't blow up until late 2003.
So about 5 years later.
Yeah. But when I went on that tour, I didn't want to, come home, but I knew it was a reality that we were going to have to go back to our old life until we, I took a leave of absence from my job at the time, lied that
What were you doing at that time for work?
I've always been a tech nerd, so I had 25 employees working for Universal Studios.
Oh, wow.
Changing their computers from Windows 95 to Windows 98. And I was the manager of all those employees. And I lied and said I was going to go take my grandmother to drive her to Florida because she was sick, and went on that tour expecting to fully come back, go back to work. And what happened was, after the tour, we got offered to be on BET, do a live TV concert.
Wow.
And my boss at the time saw
you on TV.
saw that concert.
Did he fire you?
I got fired. First time in my life I got fired.
I think that's okay, though. I think it worked out pretty well.
Years later, we played Universal Amphitheater, and he was in the front row clapping. He was like, you did good.
That is hilarious. I look at the people, George, that you have worked with over the years, and it is astounding. As I did a little bit more research into your career, obviously Fergie, Carlos Santana, Sting, just to name a few, Ricky Martin, Will.i.am, of course, from the band, Macy Gray, Weird Al Yankovic, I love, by the way. You've done stuff with him. And then you told me some stories. Let's start with Michael Jackson. You worked with Michael Jackson. There's not many people on the planet that can say that. How did that become about, where you actually developed some sort of business relationship with Michael Jackson?
Well, I had nothing to do with working with him, but I wrote a song with him.
With him in studio? And he was in studio with you when you were...
No. Unfortunately, I never met him. But so I got called late in the morning, like 3 o'clock in the morning. I get called, and Will asked me to come to the studio. I come to
Will.i.am.
I come to the studio, and Justin Timberlake and John Legend are in the studio.
Oh my God.
And so we write a song together.
Yep.
And this was supposed to be for Justin's future album, and it was a great song, and I loved it. I love what I did on it. And then Justin, a couple of days later, I don't know if it's days, months, or how long it was, but he met Timberlake, and that became the relationship that created, Sexy Back, the album that had that song on. So he decided not to use our song. So then Will met Michael and showed him that song, and Michael loved it, and he recorded it. And
you wrote portions of that song?
Yes.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so I have a song co-written with Michael Jackson, and unfortunately it'll never come out, and no one will ever hear it. I've never actually heard the finished version with Michael.
Who has it? Who do you think has it?
Will.i.am has it. The only reason he'll never release it is because Michael did sing it a couple times, and I've heard that it's amazing. It could be a massive hit.
He won't even play it for you?
No.
And you've been good friends with Will.i.am for how many years now?
He's my brother, 27 years.
And he won't even play it for you?
No, because and I understand the reasons. Right before Michael died, he called, like less than a week before he died, he called Will and said, "Hey, I don't like my vocals. I want to re-sing it." And that's why.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, he does.
I understand.
He won't play it for anyone. He'll never release it. And it could change my life. Like, it is a song that was written for legends.
That sucks, but he's, morally he's doing the right thing,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I understand that, but it just sucks that we can't hear it. You have a story, because
Can I say something?
Sure.
You can hear it, portions of it. So when Michael actually sung it, he was staying in Ireland in a castle, and the people that wrote it, including Will, went to Ireland. I chose not to. I asked Will, "Are we going to change anything in the song?" He's like, "No, Michael's just going to sing it." I was like, "All right, well, I'll meet him when it's done, and it comes out." So I chose to go home from that tour. Everyone else went to Ireland.
Interesting.
And Entertainment Tonight recorded that meeting at the studio. And so you could, if you YouTube Michael Jackson, Will.i.am, you can hear Michael listening to me just playing the guitar, bobbing his head. So you can hear the first couple seconds of the song.
Got you. I might have to do that.
Yeah.
If you're just joining us, George Pahone, he is, of course, longtime guitar player for the Black Eyed Peas. He's won Grammys. He's won BMI awards. I want to ask you about Prince. The first album I ever bought, I think I was like 10 years old, was Prince and the New Power Generation. I grew up loving Prince. I think he is, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, you could tell me, the best musician of my lifetime. And there's plenty of them, you, of course, being one of them. But I think of Bruno Mars, and we'll get to Bruno because I know you're close with Bruno. He's your boy. But you have a story that I want you to tell the listeners. For a very brief moment, you were on tour with, not on tour, you were on stage with Prince. Tell me how that came about, because it's a crazy story.
Yeah, it was crazy for me to even be involved in it. So we were on tour opening up for Macy Gray. And I see, we're in Chicago, Aragon Ballroom. I can't believe I just remembered that right now. Aragon Ballroom, and Aragon Ballroom has these big posts in the middle of the audience. And I noticed that there's a bunch of bodyguards guarding something, and I couldn't see what it was or who it was. It looked like they were guarding a post. And then I kept looking to see what was going on. And I finally catch a glimpse of Purple Boots. And I'm like, oh my God, Prince is watching our show. And I'm like freaking out. I'm a huge fan. And so, the show ends and he comes backstage. And then he comes backstage and he starts, and all this is at that place, we were all hanging out in the same backstage area, all bands on that tour. And so he comes in the room, all dressed in purple with a purple cane. And he actually points to the musicians that he wanted to come to his after party, jam session. And he points at me, he points at Macy, he points at a couple other musicians that were part of the tour, and we all go with him.
So when you say go with him, are you getting in a car with him?
Yeah,
So what is it? It's like an SUV?
Yeah, he had multiple black cars.
So you go into a car with Prince. Does he say anything to you, or he just points at you and doesn't say anything else?
He congratulates me on a great show. He's like,
Does he shake your hands? Or?
Yeah.
So he's not really socially awkward. I've heard he was a little shy.
No, not at all.
So he wasn't like that at all.
No, he came in a room and obviously controlled everything about the room, but he was very forward, and he would come in. He had a really deep voice. He would talk like Barry White, and he would break the ice with everyone with a joke. Every time I was around him, he would do that. He would tell a joke right away. He was like a comedian, and he shook my hand, said, "Good show." And then he invited me. We all got in cars and headed to the after party venue. And then they ushered us into a backstage area, and he came in there and then told us what was going to happen. He's like, all right, I'm going to go up on stage. I'm going to start a couple songs. Everything's going to be a jam session. I'm not playing anything that I'm known for. George, you stand to my left, right behind me. I'm going to start the set with my guitar, and then I'm just going to hand it to you. And he starts the set with the cymbal guitar, which just me standing behind him and seeing that iconic guitar, I'm like, that's enough. I'm good. And so he hands it to me. And I'm like, oh my God. And I grab it. I'm so excited. And he's known for was known for playing very light strings, because I know this because I know his tech for many years, Takumi. And he hands me the guitar. I play one note and break a string. And then Takumi grabs the guitar, looks at me and says, I'm sorry, George, I got to change the string for when he wants to pick this up again. And he only had 2 guitars there, so he was going to go back to that guitar. So I got to play one note.
Oh, that sucks. Did you speak with him afterwards, or was it one of those things?
Not that time.
So that was pretty much it.
That was it for that time. I met him many, many times after that and went to his house.
In Minnesota?
In L.A.
Oh, the home in L.A. Okay.
Yeah, the home in L.A. Went to his house many times there, because there was those jam sessions. And when he was living in LA, would always be at his house.
So George, when you go to Prince's home in LA, it's not really a party. It's more of he invites you over for a jam session.
No, it's full on party.
What is it like going to a party that was put on by Prince? What is that like?
Who's who? It's everyone that's anyone in LA.
What celebrities did you meet when you were there?
Many basketball players.
He loved basketball.
Yeah, I do. Ron Artest was there.
Nice.
all the P's were there with me.
So Fergie and Will.i.am and everybody.
Yeah, a couple actors. And honestly, that's all I remember because I was so focused on watching him.
He liked his women, as you know.
Yes.
He loved women, and there's
Yes.
nothing wrong with that, by the way.
No.
He was always around beautiful women.
Yes.
Right? I mean, I would imagine it was almost like a scene from the Playboy Mansion at one of his parties.
Yeah,
Is that a fair assessment?
Yes, at the party, yes, 100%. The funny thing is, as many times as I was around him, never saw him with a woman.
Really?
Like, yeah, he was always by himself.
That's interesting. Now, this is a tough question to ask because obviously it's absolutely tragic what happened to him. It was horrible. What did you think when that happened? Because obviously it was accidental, right? It was ruled accidental. Did you know of any of that stuff, that he was having pain issues at that time and he was
No.
taking yeah, because that's
I didn't know him at all like that. And
Yeah.
I, honestly, it's understandable. And I'll tell you, to carry on the way he was an absolute 100% nonstop, all the time go person. The older he got, the more things he dealt
Mhm.
with. I'm assuming I didn't know him that way. And it was just, I'm assuming pain management that, got careless.
It's so sad because
Yeah.
now, do you agree with me that I think Prince will always be, by some, an underrated guitar player? I think he's one of the best guitar players on the ever.
100%.
You agree with that?
100%.
Yeah.
To me, he was the closest thing in.
Like Jimi Hendrix, would you put him in that category?
I was about to say that before you said that.
Yeah.
He's the closest thing as far as the energy and how he attacked the guitar that we had to Jimi Hendrix. He was it. Obviously he was influenced by him, but being influenced by Hendrix and actually having the attitude
Mhm.
and I'm gonna go for blood, mentality
Right.
that Hendrix had. He had that, and it was unbelievable, and the best example of that was that time that he did While My Guitar Gently Weeps, and it's very famous video. He came on the stage and everyone's on the stage, Tom Petty, and it's just a sea of celebrities on this stage, and he comes up there quietly playing rhythm. He wasn't supposed to solo. He just went to the front of the stage and was like, I'm just going to wipe the floor with everyone right now.
And the notes that he could hit just from his voice was absurd. It was ridiculous.
That's what he was. He's very similar to what Hendrix did, very similar to how Carlos Santana approaches the guitar. They use the guitar as a vocal. They're vocal players. You can sing their solos. You can sing what they play like.
George, so obviously you've worked with so many big names in the industry and you've done pretty much everything you can do, but were there moments where you just took a step back and said, wow, this is pretty cool. I'm hanging out with Prince at his house at a party. We're friends. He knows me. I don't know. I mean, it's Prince we're talking about here. You're right. I mean, do you ever have to pinch yourself sometimes, or do you just treat him like everybody else?
No, with him, it was a pinch me moment when this is not a lot of people know this. Prince, for a long time, the bigger the P's got, the more enamored he got with the Black Eyed Peas. So he started coming to our after parties. And I would see him all the time. And the reason he was coming to our after parties is he was trying to convince Will to do a co-headlining tour.
Wow.
And he's like, I want you to produce my next record. I love what you're doing with the P's. But in order to do that, we got to hang out. We got to play music. So why don't we do a co-headlining tour? And Will's like, you want me to play? He's like, and his the way he sold it to Will, he said, let's do a co-headlining tour. You guys are obviously bigger than me right now, but I'll headline one night and you guys headline one night, and we'll just, take over America. And Will's like, you want me to follow you on some nights? Absolutely fucking not. I'm not doing that.
Careful.
Sorry.
We can't swear. No, that's
Sorry.
okay. That's okay. You've written some of the most popular songs that I've ever heard in the last 20 years. Let's Get It Started.
Mm-hmm.
You won Best Rap Performance by a Duo or a Group, Grammy for that. Where Is the Love, which is a song that you hear still to this day on the radio everywhere. That was a #1 hit song. Don't Funk With My Heart. I mean, I wanted to ask you this. When you're writing a song like that, let's just say Let's Get It Started. which I love. I still listen to the songs that you wrote every day. When you're writing a song like that and you come up with the melodies and all that, like, are you saying to yourself, wow, this is going to be a hit? Do you wait till after it's recorded? When do you say to yourself, this is going to be something special?
I only felt that way about one song.
What's that? Which song is that?
Where's the Love? And that one didn't feel that way until Ron Fair put 30-piece orchestra on it. And I heard the strings with the song, and I was like, oh, this is special. This could be something that could change my life. That's the only time I felt that way. Everything else, you never know. And most of the time, it's songs that you hate that become these massive hits. Like, I walked away from writing the bridge on My Humps. I thought the song was the dumbest thing ever. And not in this final version. In this final version, I think it's brilliant because Will has a very, very crazy, beautiful gift to write the dumbest lyrics that can actually communicate from the youngest to the oldest people. It's the craziest gift he has. At a young kid, you can see 3-4 years old can be singing my humps, and they don't even know what it means, and it's just the weirdest thing ever. Or a grandmother dancing, singing that.
But it's like a positive, a lot of the writing and the music, especially with Black Eyed Peas, tonight's going to be a good night. I got a feeling, songs that make people feel good.
Everything he's written, he went from being socially conscious with Where's the Love to then the world changed, and because of 9/11, that's why that song was written. I don't know if you know that. 9/11 created that song.
I did not know that.
I can tell that story in a second.
That's
Let me finish.
Yep.
He wrote those songs just to make people feel good. That was his whole, and still to this day, everything he writes to this day is like, I want people to feel good. I want people to like sing about something that takes them away from what's going on in whatever they're going on in the world. Yeah. And for himself too, he likes just singing about having a good time and positive things. And that's always been his mantra. If you listen to early Black Eyed Peas, everything was about positivity.
Right.
He's written a song called
Is Fergie the same way?
Fergie's just a rock star. Fergie's just the epitome of the biggest rock star I've ever been around.
You told me a story, and I think we can share this on the air, where Fergie was offered an enormous amount of money to tour again.
Yeah.
And I respect the fact that, first of all, she has enough money now to be very comfortable, of course, but she turned it down because she wants to be a mother, which I respect so much. Can you share that? Because, I mean, the money that she was offered is ridiculous, and she turned it down.
She turned it down twice.
And we're talking, can we say how much?
In the upwards of hundreds of millions.
Hundreds of millions of dollars she was offered just to tour again. That's it.
A couple times. She turned it down the first time when we were on the biggest tour in the world. I mean, our last show with her was Miami Dolphins Stadium. So we were selling out football stadiums, and they offered to keep this tour going for another 100 shows. Just keep this whole thing going. Everyone's making money. Let's just keep going. That's the first time she turned it down. And she turned it down then because she wanted to be a mom. She didn't have a
kid yet.
She didn't have a kid.
She wanted to have a family.
And so she went home to actually become a mother. And then when she became a mother, she's turned it down multiple times because she does not want to stop being a mother.
You think she'll ever tour again?
I don't think she'll ever tour again. I think the only thing that she would possibly do is something like a Vegas Sphere, residency or something like that.
Like a few weeks, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think that we could ever do that because of the fact that, I've heard Will say this, and I respect how he respects the audience. So in America, they're completely done with us. Without Fergie.
And you just came back to China, right? You were just touring in China with the Black Eyed Peas, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the rest of the world still loves the Black Eyed Peas, and we're selling, our last pre-sale show that wasn't a festival was in Germany, and that was 75,000 pre-sales.
Wow.
And we still pull those kind of numbers.
That's incredible.
Everywhere in the world except America.
I see these 90s bands, some of whom I still enjoy listening to, and they struggle to sell 5,000 tickets.
Yeah.
And here you guys are traveling the world. It's crazy.
But there's only a few bands, a handful of bands that
from the 90s
that are worldwide.
Pearl Jam, would you say they're worldwide?
No.
I'm trying to think of some shows that I've seen. Obviously, the Rolling Stones. Obviously,
when
U2.
I say world, I'm not talking about UK or
everywhere.
France. I'm talking about Israel,
right?
Egypt, India, China. Like we just went to China and played 3 stadiums. Like
that's insane. And you told me you once performed in front of over 1 million people, right?
1.6.
That's insane. Where was that?
That's it's an insane event. It's Rio on Copacabana Beach. They put on a live show free for everyone in Rio, and every year on New Year's Eve they put on this live show, and the stage has 10 satellites. If you don't know what a satellite means, when the stage is so far that the audience can't see it, they set up another stage with a video wall with the same PA system, so that those people are getting the same exact feeling, and that was 10 long.
Now there's all sorts of different musicians that get nervous every time they get on the stage. You don't strike me as that kind of person. I know.
Unfortunately, I don't.
Yeah,
I wish I did.
The lead singer of Tool, Maynard, who is extremely talented, he suffers from stage fright. He's talked about this. It's why he won't stand in front of the stage. So I have to ask you this. I know you're not the guy that gets nervous, and you're confident in your abilities, and you should be. But when you're performing in front of 1.6 million people, I would have to be wearing a diaper. So I'm just like, do you get nervous at all? Is that a different feeling for you, or it's just another show? When you're 1.6 million people is a lot of people. Like you'll never perform, in front of that many. Almost no musicians will perform in front of that many people.
Well, here's the thing. You don't know that it's 1.6 million people. No one told me. I just turned around and you just see a sea of people that you don't see the end of. And so it doesn't look any different than what I do every day. And so you just see a sea of people and you're like, oh, wow, this is crazy. The craziest thing of that show to me was looking to my left. And so the stage is on the sand and the ocean is to your left. And I watched boyfriends with their girlfriends on their shoulders. And every time the tide would come in, they'd go underwater and hold their breath. That was the weirdest thing of that show. Was
That's wild.
That I was like, oh my God, you are dedicated to this woman that you're willing to die, possibly because she wants to see the show with a better view. And that's what felt weird to me. When I knew that it was 1.6 was MTV filmed it and had helicopters that were going above the crowd, and they aired pictures of that. And I was like, oh my God, why didn't anybody tell me this? I got mad after the show.
Maybe it's better somebody didn't tell me. I don't know.
No one told
That's
me.
Insane. Let's talk a little bit about, and by the way, if you're just joining us, maybe we'll take some phone calls in a little bit. George Pahone is joining us from the Black Eyed Peas. His stories and the people that he's worked with, I just think it's so incredible. Let's talk a little bit about Barack Obama. Mm-hmm. This is a political show. Don't worry, we're not going to dive into deep politics. But this is pretty cool. You were the co-writer of the Emmy Award-winning 2008 Barack Obama campaign song, Yes We Can, which I think everybody knows. Certainly most of my audience probably remembers that. How did that come about?
I hate the term co-writer on that song because there's nothing else but guitar.
Let's just call you the writer.
There's nothing but guitar.
Yeah.
Like Will took a piece of a song that I did, and it came from an argument between him and I. And then he fell in love with Barack's acceptance speech for the Democratic the nomination.
Right.
And he put that speech on my piece of music. That's the only reason we're co-writers, because he married.
So you did the whole thing.
It was all me. And where that came from, it had nothing to do with politics. I guess it had a lot to do with the politics of the Black Eyed Peas. When we wrote Words of Love and it became a #1 song, I got courted by everyone to be signed as a writer. And so everyone, Will was on Universal Music. I got courted by Universal Music. I got courted by every entity at that point. And I decided I don't know why I thought this, but this is what I thought. I thought it was a conflict of interest for me to be signed to the same organization as will.i.am. I was like, I want some identity outside of him. He's such a polarizing figure. It's his band, it's his brainchild. And so the only way I would have any kind of identity was to go outside of that family. When I did that, I didn't know what was going to come. You know, not a lot of writers know the business of music until they're deep into it. And that was my first number one song. So I didn't know that by signing with EMI, it was the biggest publishing house in the world. So they were way bigger than Universal Music. And so every time from that point forward, when I signed with EMI, every time Will would meet a director for a movie or a commercial or anything like that, or a product, and he would be like, man, please use my song. You know, I'll let you have it for basically nothing. You know, I remember he did that for a movie, met the director, and he's like, can you use my song? He's like, I actually love Let's Get It Started. Can we use that? Absolutely. I'll give it to you for almost nothing. You know, you have to, by law, give me something so that you can legally use the song. And so they agreed to that. And then EMI was, nope, we want this. And so they would he would make a decision and EMI would stop him. And so he got really mad and would come up to me, and we argued for over a month about that. And he's like, how can you do this? You took my band from me. I can't do what I want now. I have to get permission from your people to do what I want with my band. This is horrible. And so the politics of that became very ugly. And how that song came about is we argued and argued and argued, and we were living in London at the time. One day we were going to an after party, and he's like, all right, I'm done arguing with you. You're not going nowhere. We're going to continue to create music and magic together. He hands me a guitar and he says, go in the recording booth, play the first thing that comes to your mind. He just pressed record, and that's Yes We Can.
Wow, and that's how it was created. And every single time Barack Obama went to a stage, you'd always hear Yes We Can. You ever meet Barack Obama?
In passing many times, because we performed that song when he was nominated in the Democratic National Convention. We performed it when he was when he became the president. So we went to a bunch of parties and performed it. And man, that was the roughest gig I've ever done, because
why?
Well, it was so cold in Washington, D.C., and we would walk to the different parties. And so you're like minus 10 walking with a guitar to the next part. And the parties were crazy. Like one of there's a bunch of pictures and footage of us performing it where Sting was there, and he's like, hey, I want to sing that song with you guys. And he's on stage with us singing it. And by that point, we had already worked with Sting, and I had already written with Sting. So we knew each other. And so we played it so many times during that time, and including years later, he invited Fergie. When I was touring with Fergie, he invited her to the White House, and I got to go to the White House and
to meet Barack Obama.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Yeah,
what was that like?
It was great. And
you meet Michelle too?
Yeah. Michelle, and we met Michelle more than him. Obviously he was very protected, and so it was always at a distance. The only person that actually met him was Will. Like Will and him became really close. And because of that song, we got to do the coolest things that any musician has ever done. Like Oprah became 100% fascinated with that song and asked us to write another song, and she wanted it to be called America's Song. And so we got together with, I can't think of his name right now, but a legendary writer. And Will called me. He's like, hey, we got to write with this guy. I can't think of his name right now. I'm sorry. You could look it up. It's called America's Song. We wrote, and on that song is like Bono and Seal and
oh wow,
the people on that song is crazy. And so Oprah debuted that on her show, and then years later, she was just enamored with Will and our writing process and how we could, essentially, whether you believe it or not, we did change the world quite a few times. And that's how I found out about Yes We Can. We've played Australia. And so if you don't know this, when you go to Australia and you travel back to LA, you basically are traveling back in time because you leave at 11 a.m. and you land at 10 a.m. in LA, same day.
Yeah.
And so we left on Super Bowl Sunday, and I had a Super Bowl party at my house with hundreds of people, and I landed Super Bowl Sunday at 11 a.m. ready for the game,
That's
went
funny.
home, and all these people were there, including like Will's manager and a bunch of the P's. Will didn't show up to that party, but he texted me and he said, "Congratulations, we changed the world again." I had no idea what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Because he didn't tell me he was using my piece of music. He didn't tell me anything. He did the video without me because I was on the road with Fergie. I'm not even in the video. We had a fight about that.
That song caught on with so many people, particularly a lot of young people too. And then you
Well,
have,
that's what Oprah said.
and then Barack Obama in almost every speech is saying, yes, we can.
Yes.
And it's because of the song that, let's just call it you wrote. So because of the song that you wrote, you have all these younger people that are more involved with the Obama campaign and Barack Obama. And then you have what would be the president of the United States, who was president for 8 years, who continued to say that, by the way, when he wasn't even campaigning, he still said, yes, we can, because of the song that you wrote.
Yeah, it was. And so, the way Barack has mentioned the song many times, but to him, it was a speech, and it was a young man that wrote that speech. I don't know if you know that. His speechwriter was a very young man that wrote that speech with him, and he referenced it more as the speech. But the way Oprah talks about it, to me, is how important that song was. Oprah, in her mind, said it's the first time in an election where a president won the youth vote. And it was because of that song. And,
absolutely.
And there's so many things that happened for the first time because of that song. So it's the first time that a song became viral because of YouTube. And remember, during this time, YouTube had just started. It had just started. And so we won an Emmy because how viral that song became in YouTube. And the fact that Will had the forethought of bringing in all these actors. He partnered up with a guy that he was doing business with that knew all these actors and all these musicians, and they all donated their time. And here's the crazy thing. Now everyone is doing what we're doing right now. There's a camera pointing at me right now. Back then, we didn't even have these things where you can do a podcast with your iPhone. Everyone, that was the first time that, like, if you look at that video, everyone was using that Apple. Remember that Apple camera that you would put on the top of your monitor?
I do,
Everyone was using that, and that's how they did that song. All these actors from all over the world, musicians from all over the world, were filming themselves on that tiny little camera and sending in the video. And it became the first time that the world came together to do this one song for a cause. And the simple cause was we wanted, Will was basically touched so much by that speech that he wanted to be connected to it.
You know what it reminds me, George, a little bit of? John Lennon, Imagine. A little bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Not even close, because, Imagine will probably be a song that will never be stopped. It's like, to me, Imagine is like Happy Birthday.
Right.
Happy Birthday, you'll know for the rest of your life.
It's a beautiful song. But it just reminded me of that a little bit. Let's have a little fun here. I wanted to ask, what would you say is the craziest party you have ever been? Because you've been to a lot of parties in your life. What would you say was
including last night? Yeah,
I believe that. I was
smoking cigars last night with Marshawn Lynch. So yes,
were you really?
Yes,
with Marshawn. Wow, I know Marshawn. I was actually sitting next to him at a WNBA game here in Vegas, and he was actually very funny. He's actually a very funny guy.
I can't say on air what the craziest party was because I would get killed. But it is. I've lived a life and continue to live a life that I proudly, I say this humbly, but I say it because of the mentality and the thought behind this person. I always say to my wife and to people that tap out while I'm partying, hey man, I'm tired. I got to go home. And it's like, are you done? I'm like, no, I'm Keith Richards. I'm going to keep going. That's the way I live my life. He lived his life on 1,000. And if you read his book, the reason he lived his life that way was because it's such a blessing to live and experience these things. You just don't want them to stop.
Right.
And I don't party because I need to. I don't actually love alcohol. I'm not a guy that keeps alcohol in my house. Like in my studio, when you come to my studio, people know that I love to drink beer. And so the first thing they do to come when they write with me, they bring like a 12-pack or a 24-pack of Corona, which is my favorite beer. And I tell them, you leave that inside. Well, why? Well, there's no alcohol allowed in my dojo.
Mm-hmm.
My studio is my dojo, and I respect it that way. And I do not mix the two. In 27 years of touring, I've been probably drunk on stage maybe twice.
I find that interesting because not necessarily alcohol, but when you think of the Jimi Hendrix types, I think some of the best music that has ever been written in the history of the world are people when they were on drugs, right? I think of those kinds of people.
My people tell me that all the time.
Yeah.
Have you ever done mushrooms? Have you ever done, any kind of acid? Or no. Why not? Dude, the way you write, it's so outside the box and so crazy. If you could listen to my original band, Cairo Knife Fight, it doesn't sound like anything else out there. And to me, that's, when the press talks about the band, that's what they say. I didn't come up with that. It's the press saying that.
Right.
To me, that's a compliment in the highest.
It is, because
order.
you don't have to be high and you don't have to be drunk to write some of the biggest hits of my generation, which is a pretty big compliment. Yeah.
But unfortunately, because of that ability to create something unique, it doesn't give you the stardom. And so, I have been told so many times, I've been with my personal rock band, I've been turned down by every label. I've been turned down by everyone. And the one reason they say is, we don't know how to promote this. We don't know how to sell it. It doesn't sound like anyone else. To me, that's the biggest
thing.
That's the biggest compliment ever. But it doesn't equate to me being able to like leave the Black Eyed Peas and just do my band.
Right.
And so commercially, they don't know how to promote it and sell it, which is to me a travesty. And I continue to do it because I believe whether I do it or there's someone else that's going to get it the way I do. And look, there was a Tool before Tool was Tool, they sounded like no one else.
No one else.
And they still sound like no one else.
Yep.
But someone had the forethought of being like, that needs to be heard by the rest of the world.
Great.
And sunk a bunch of money in them, and they became the Tool that we love now.
Yep.
And you think about that band. They don't have no singles. They don't have there's singles that they play on the comp here in Vegas. They're like 8-9 minutes long.
Right.
They don't follow any format.
Yeah.
They don't believe in any of those rules.
Nope.
And it's the most beautiful thing. And that's how I write. That's how I don't listen to popular music.
You don't worry about the radio. You don't worry about how many plays you're going to get. You just do what you want to do. And if people like it, great. And if they don't,
I write from the heart.
Yeah.
I write from every kind of inspiration possible. People ask me all the time, what inspires you to write a song? I was like, anything. It could be a conversation. It could be right now. It could be a movie.
But would you say, George, that one of your many accomplishments is when people will come up to you and say, hey, you're one of the biggest reasons why Barack Obama won? That's a pretty darn, I mean, obviously it's a great song and you've written so many amazing songs, but that's pretty incredible. That changes the course of history, in my opinion, because of a song you wrote.
Yes. The only reason I'm laughing is because that's probably the coolest thing I've done.
Why didn't you write a song for Kamala Harris? You could have helped us all.
We did.
Did you really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. She actually took Will took the song, Yes, We Can. And he rewrote the lyrics for her.
Interesting.
And
I did not know that.
We played it in Philly when she was, when they were both campaigning and when it was announced that she lost, we played at that event. And
is that the night where she didn't come out?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Well,
you played that night and
yes.
she came out the next day.
Yes.
Boy, that was a brutal night.
Yes.
That was tough.
We were there in Philly, and we played a different version of Yes We Can, and Will has changed it for every election.
You think he's going to do it again in 2028?
I think he'll never stop doing it until we write something else.
So Will's a pretty big, left-leaning musician, like many other musicians out there, right?
I wouldn't say that he's left-wing. I say that Will just loves people and loves to just root for.
He roots
the
for
underdog.
Good people, for decent human beings.
He roots for the underdog.
I'm the same way.
Yeah, he roots for hey, let's us get together.
I don't know if Barack Obama would be considered an underdog. Obviously, the first black president is certainly a part of that.
Yes.
I agree, but I never considered Barack Obama an underdog. I think he just outshined with his intelligence. As much as I respected John McCain, and I do have some respect for Mitt Romney, Obama, the way he spoke,
yes,
his speeches, the way he was with people, we'll never see anybody like that again in our lifetime, in my opinion.
And it's unfortunate that you say that, because we do need that.
We need that.
We especially now, we need people that inspire you regardless of which way you are voting.
Does Will ever bring up Donald Trump ever?
No.
Never.
No. And look, I say this, and here's the only political thing I will say. And I love saying this because it's the truest thing that you can possibly say. I've been blessed to see the world many times over, and we're a young country. Until you can actually stand next to a building that's been there for thousands of years, you don't have the right to have an opinion, in my belief. And this is when I get asked all the time what my thoughts are, anything political. And right now it's very difficult to travel the world because every topic is ruled by what's going on in America right now. Every topic. It's always like, how do you think? Man, it must be hard to live there. Or what are your thoughts on this? And my answer is always very simple. I have to ask you a question. And they're like, I will answer your question as honestly as I can if you answer my question first. And that question is, do you have a passport?
Mm-hmm.
And if that person says, I don't have a passport, I said, then I can't have this conversation with you.
What do you say if they do have a passport and they've traveled the world?
The next question to me is, do you have a stamp that's longer than a couple thousand miles? Because if you haven't seen poverty like there is in India,
sure,
then you don't know what it's like to live in this country.
That's true.
If you haven't seen
Americans,
a third world country that's living in martial law like I have, then you don't know the privilege that you have to live in this country.
But I so agree with you, and that's why I get so angry when people are seeking asylum and people want a better life for themselves and their families, and this administration, without getting too political, in my opinion, treats them like animals. These are people that are trying to save themselves, save their families. They want a better life for themselves. And these people in America, and I agree with everything you just said, they only see life through their own lens. They don't know what it's like living in India. They don't know what it's like having to struggle for a loaf of bread, right? They don't understand it. They're so privileged, as you said, being born in the United States of America. And yes, we do have a lot of problems here, but I am very lucky, and I've always felt very lucky to be born in this country.
So lucky.
Yeah.
And you said the right word, privileged. And their privilege, look, you're not wrong for thinking that way. You just don't know how lucky you are to have that choice, to have that thought, to actually not be told. Like, I just came back from China, where this thing that we live by does not work over there. Do you understand that your phone does not work?
Yeah.
So that means that, okay, you want to see the latest football game? There's no way to stream it.
Why do they do that? The government, why do they do that?
They control everything.
Yeah.
They basically control the narrative.
So they don't let you use cell phones in China.
No, your cell phone works, but only for texting and
so
cell phones.
They don't let you go on the internet.
No. So
wow.
Listen to this.
You can't check your email?
Yeah, you can check your email.
Yeah.
But most people don't realize this. you can't have a VPN in China. It's
Wow.
the only place in the world that you cannot have a VPN.
Wow.
Like, the reason I have a VPN is not to hide from anything. The only reason is because I'm a sports fanatic and I want to watch the game. And there's no way to watch the game without tricking your computer to say that it is in America, because I want to watch my teams.
Yeah.
That's why I have a VPN. That does not exist in China.
That's wild.
And for you to, I was there in Shanghai for, I think, 5 days total.
Mm-hmm.
Man, it is difficult when you get comfortable living with this piece of equipment to live without it for 5 days. Imagine turning off your phone.
I would lose it. Anybody who knows me knows I'm on my phone way too much. I'm doing work.
Think about that.
Yeah.
And so, look, it is such a privilege to live here. And I'm going to tell you, you don't know this about me. I am that person. So my parents immigrated from Cuba.
Mm-hmm.
Both my parents left Cuba. Why did they leave Cuba? Because I just watched The Godfather, and in The Godfather 3, he's in Cuba when Castro takes over Batista and takes over the country. And they showed it so beautifully how that happened, where the rebels were literally blowing themselves up to take security officials and police officers that were trying to stop the rioting that was going on in the city. They were blowing themselves up because they believed in Fidel so much. But those people didn't know that what Fidel was bringing in, because if you listen to his speeches, he was not preaching communism.
Right.
He was preaching, let's overthrow this government, and I'm going to show a better way. Well, his better way was communism.
And with your past, and I did not know that about you, I'm wondering what goes through your mind when you see people around the country and ICE agents not identifying themselves in some cases. It's almost like kidnapping. And I see families being torn apart from one another, even those that are seeking asylum that have filled out the proper paperwork and they're legally allowed to be here and they're still being deported. I'm wondering what goes through your mind when you see this happening in this country.
I can tell you exactly. And it's scary for me to say this. It's what my parents say. And like, this reminds me of Cuba. And they're scared. They're scared because it's very similar to when the revolution happened in Cuba, and my family had to make a choice. And the choice they made, and most people don't know about this, in Cuba, if you weren't a part of the Castro administration that was about to take over the island, you were allowed to take a lottery ticket and leave. And so people stood in line with that lottery ticket every day. So both my grandfathers stood in line every day with that lottery ticket until that number was called. And when that number was called, you were allowed to come to the United States if you had a church sponsoring you. So we had family members on both sides of my family that had churches that sponsored us. So on my mother's side, it was Waco, Texas.
Right.
On my father's side, it was Hoboken, New Jersey, that the church, the Catholic Church, sponsored these people because they knew what was going on in Cuba, and they housed them, and people would take them into their house. And in both of my families, what happened is they had, like, bake sales and food drives and all this stuff, and all the money was used to buy my parents homes for them to come, both sides of my family.
Yeah. And
that's the only way you were allowed to leave Cuba. And so both my grandfathers left Cuba with $25 in their pockets, hidden.
Wow.
I think my grandfather hid it in his sock, and my other grandfather hid it in his underwear. And you were allowed to take 2 suitcases. And as you were leaving Cuba, you watched the whole neighborhood ransack your home for everything you own in life. And that was your options. You can leave if you're sponsored by someone in America, and your lottery ticket is called, and you're allowed 2 suitcases per family. And that's how my family came to America. I would not be here. I would have never wrote Yes We Can if it wasn't for the fact that this country took people in and gave them asylum.
It's the way it used to be.
Yeah. I mean,
Not
look
anymore.
at the Eiffel Tower, what it says on it. I mean, not the Eiffel Tower, the Statue of Liberty. Here's the funny thing, that I said something wrong, but it's not wrong, because who gave us the Statue of Liberty? France. And the real Eiffel Tower, the very first Eiffel Tower, I mean, the Statue of Liberty is right next to the Eiffel Tower. when you pass the Eiffel Tower, you see the first Statue of Liberty,
Right.
and it looks exactly the same. That was a gift to us.
Hmm.
And then they wrote that on there.
Wow.
Think about Gangs of New York. Think about those Ellis Island.
Yeah.
What that meant to this country. I mean, hell, we're in Vegas. Do you know about Ellis Island here in Vegas? The last family-owned casino.
Yeah, the Ellis family, sure. They're wonderful people.
Do you know they owned Ellis Island?
Yeah, I did hear our mutual friend Steve has told me that story, and I have a lot of respect for the Ellis family.
Man, when I've read, and because I became friends with Steve and Nick,
Yep.
and I love going there.
Good people, yep.
Yeah, I started doing research on why is it called Ellis Island? Because Ellis Island is such a significant place in U.S. history. I mean, think about the movies that have Ellis Island in it. Godfather, Gangs of New York, all these movies that like everyone came through there. Everyone had the fantasy of seeing that statue, you know, and that I wouldn't be alive today if it wasn't for my parents didn't meet.
Your story's incredible, but what's really sad about it is if we rewind a little bit and this was under this administration, you would not be here.
No.
And I hate that.
I hate it too.
I hate it. And I love the fact that I love to hear stories like your story, and your family must be so proud of you with everything you've accomplished in your career and all the people that you've helped. You know, another thing too.
Hold on. Before you move on.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I don't like what you said.
What'd I say?
Don't hate it. And I'm going to tell you why. This is my belief.
Okay.
We can't hate where we are right now. We have to love.
It's hard for me, and I want to get your thoughts on this. It's hard for me to love what this administration is doing to people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying. Hate is a very strong word, and I don't use it very often. I love this country, and I use the term hate, George, and you could tell me maybe there's a better word to use. I hate what this administration is doing to good, hardworking Americans and people like your parents who came to this country. I hate his policies, and I hate his rhetoric. And maybe I'm wrong in using that word. You tell me.
I think you are, and I'm gonna tell you.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you.
Tell me why. Yep.
Tell you why. Because you have to love that you have the option to say that word.
Mm-hmm.
You have the option. You're not gonna go to jail for saying I hate this administration. In Cuba, you will go to jail. In China, you will go to jail.
Russia, sure.
Russia.
Yeah.
Look, I'm gonna tell you something.
You're right.
I'm gonna tell you something that happened to me while I was on tour in China. I was in Hong Kong, and because of my ignorance, and it's pure ignorance, I didn't know that Hong Kong was back in China. Remember, they were under UK rule for a very long time. Then they fought for their independence. Now they're back under China.
But I feel like Trump wants to put us like Cuba. Trump wants to be like Vladimir Putin. He wants us to be in a place, George, where I can't say that in the United States of America. I can't say, I hate you, Donald Trump. He wants that. He wants me to go to jail for saying that. And that's scary, George.
It is scary.
That's scary.
And here's why I'm going to say that even with that, I don't think we're strong enough as a people. And this country is strong enough to where that won't happen. I don't believe it'll happen. And
I hope not.
And look, I just happened to me. Like what I was about to say is, I mean, my ignorance, I didn't know that. And I was saying things in Hong Kong. I was at a bar and saying, man, I love Hong Kong so much more than China.
Oh.
And someone came, because in China, and the only reason I was saying that is like, I got to read my sports scores today,
right?
Because I got to open Bleacher Report.
Somebody went up to you.
Something that simple. That's all I was saying. And someone came up to me and is like, "Hey, I'm going to give you some advice. Please don't say that out loud again because you can get arrested."
Wow.
This is China.
Wow.
And I was like, I literally left the bar and went to my room because it was so eye-opening.
Who said that to you? It was just somebody that lived there?
Just the person I was drinking with.
Wow.
At the bar, a random person that I met. Everything changed. The mood changed. It's like, hey, I just want to give you some advice. Don't say that out loud again because you can get arrested.
That's scary.
Probably
good advice.
Yeah.
Probably good advice.
Great advice.
And I think of Otto Warmbier. You remember that story in North Korea where he took down a poster or something. You know, kid in his early 20s, he didn't know what he was doing, and they killed him. They murdered him.
Well, look, you don't. there's so many, and that's why I say I'll go back to my whole passport thing. If you haven't gone to Dubai or Singapore or Israel or China or Russia, and you have, when you go as a musician on these tours, they give you a pamphlet. It's literally comes now. We used to get basically a booklet that you had to read of the things you can and cannot do. When you go to Singapore, if you spit out a gum on the street, you can get arrested for that. And those things here, you don't live with that. You don't live with those kind of rules.
I totally get what you're saying. I'm worried that this is what the Trump administration wants to do.
I think the only time you need to be worried if they actually have here's where you would be worried is if he goes past.
Well,
8 years.
He wants to arrest certain people for speaking out against him. Clearly, he wants to do that. He calls them the enemy within, which is similar language that Adolf Hitler used. What they want to do is you look at the way they treat them. There is no freedom of the press under the Donald Trump administration anymore. He threatens these large companies. He wants to take their licenses away. You look at the Pentagon; they're only credentialing people that are pro Donald Trump. That is anti-democracy, right? That's anti freedom of the press, and that's what he's doing.
Well, I think yes, everything. I can't argue with anything you're saying, but at the same time, you can argue that what's happening right now is the most obvious thing that's happening right now is our eyes are being opened. Our eyes are being opened, and the fact that you are saying the word hate and the fact that you are fearing right now is a healthy thing. It's a healthy thing, because what are you going to do? You're going to fight for what you believe in. And all of us are going to fight for what we want to go forward with. And we're going to have the option of moving past this. There are countries that don't get to move past this. How long has the Castro administration been in power?
I hear what you're saying, and I agree with you, but I rarely use the term hate ever when talking about politics. Obviously, I
understand why
I disagreed with George W. Bush. I thought he was a terrible president. But I never really used the term hate. Here's what I want to do, because we're almost at the end of the show. We got about 15 minutes here to go. I do want to give people an opportunity to call in and maybe ask you some questions. And I would love to do that. By the way, the number to call 702-221-7283. Again, the number 702-221-7283. We're joined by George Pujon, who is a longtime guitar player, of course, for the Black Eyed Peas. He's given stories about meeting Prince and collaborating with some of the best musicians on the planet. He's certainly one of them himself. Of course, he's close with Bruno Mars as well. And he just toured China. He just was in China and giving some stories there, which I thought was pretty good. So if you guys want to call in, brilliant musician, number to call 702-221-7283. And again, that number, if you want to be a part of the conversation, is 702-221-SAVE. George, is there anybody on the planet that you would not tour with, that you would not perform with on stage? Like, is there anybody where you're like, nope, I can't do that? Is there anybody that you could think of?
No.
That's amazing.
Everyone has a voice. Everyone has an opinion. Whether I love your voice or not, it's all music. It's all the same 8 notes.
So even people that you might not, I would imagine over the years, there's musicians that you haven't gotten along with, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah. I would love to have a conversation with them. So why not share the stage?
Communicate.
Yeah. The best thing to do is communicate and have a conversation. I could disagree with you, but that doesn't mean everyone has an opinion.
I doubt that Will would do this, but if they asked the Black Eyed Peas and offered you guys an enormous amount of money to sing at the Republican National Convention for a J.D. Vance, is that something you guys would ever consider?
That is outside my pay grade.
But you personally, is that something
I wouldn't say no to anything?
You wouldn't say no to anything?
I wouldn't say no to
anything. Regardless
of
politics or political
politics
views?
or politics. You're asking me to do what I do for a living, and it's not for a living. That is my passion. You're asking me to put my heart on the line. I will put my heart on the line for music.
I like that. I respect that. 702-221-7283. Let's start off with Gina. Hi, Gina. You're on with George. Go right ahead.
Hi, George. Thank you, gentlemen. You're just on the topic this afternoon. I want to agree. I have been saying to my friends for a while, this must be what it felt like in Germany before Hitler had his full policy and that. And you get that look from people that let you know that they think you're going crazy. So I know I'm not crazy. I know other people see this. and talk about this president and the zombies that follow him, regardless of anything he says. This is a very scary time.
Yeah, I think George would agree with
And
that.
I just wanted to agree with you, gentlemen.
Well,
Yes,
thank you, Gina.
very scary.
Thank you, Gina.
Thank you.
I agree with you. These are scary times we're living in, but I'm still very grateful to be living in the United States of America, as George rightfully said.
I will say, I'm not scared. If you have not seen what I've seen, that's scary.
Oh, sure.
I come home and I kiss the ground that I come home to, because this is the epitome of freedom. We are still that. And regardless of what's going on right now,
Even though it's being threatened, I do agree with you. We still have far more freedoms in this country than most other countries in the world.
Until you experience that, you just don't know what a right and a privilege you have to live this way.
We do.
Yeah.
I don't disagree. 702-221-7283 if you'd like to call in. Let's go to Dave. Dave is next up on PTL. Hello, Dave.
Hey, what's up? What's up, Brian?
Hey.
How you doing, you guys?
What's up?
How you doing? Hey, I'm a big Black Eyed Peas fan.
Thank
all
you.
right, so I have a great question for all you guys. Walk My Walk is sold about 3 million downloads on the country Billboard charts on Spotify. What do you think of AI? Because I hate to say it, I have about over 100 AI downloads on my phone, and it sounds exactly really good. I mean, are you going into the technology maybe for your band and maybe using some writing with AI, but you're going to sing it live? Because I would like that. I really would, if you use that and then you can sing it, you know?
Yeah, I'm not afraid of AI. AI will never replace the soul and the heart of a person, like what we were talking about earlier, Prince. You can't duplicate Prince with AI. As much as they can get close to it, it's when you're next to him, when you're feeling a magical moment that he's having in the middle of a solo or a lyric or that's happening organically on the spot, that he's connecting with the audience. That can't be duplicated by AI. But I am a technology nerd and I love technology. And so I'm very excited about the possibilities with AI. If AI is used as a tool, it is the most powerful thing ever. And all it can do is move our craft forward. So what it's doing, in my opinion, is taking away your limitations. Every musician has limitations. Every writer has limitations. AI is helping you erase those limitations. It's helping you become a greater creator. At the end of the day, forget the fact that you call me a musician, a guitar player. No, I'm a creative. Right. I'm a creative. All day, every day, all I think about is being creative. Right now, every day, all I think about is creativity. And using AI as a tool is a powerful, powerful thing. And so, yes, there are people that are threatened by it because it's scary that that song has more downloads than my personal song that I wrote, but who cares about that? It's a beautiful, what's exciting about it? It's the Wild Wild West. It's like we're back to the beginnings of music when they were inventing rock and roll. That's what this is right now. We're reinventing an art form.
I grew up listening because my dad, Buddy Holly and Elvis Presley and the Big Bopper. And I listened, growing up, I was listening to that.
But think about what you just said.
Yeah.
Elvis Presley.
Sure.
Where did Elvis Presley get all that stuff from?
Well,
all the blues artists. Why?
The blues, yeah.
Because he was hanging with B.B. King.
Right,
because he was hanging with those people. He was being influenced. That's just what AI is doing.
Yep.
By the way, going back to that.
One of the best moments of my life was when I had the opportunity to meet B.B. King and his daughter
in
Las Vegas.
That's the one I wish I would have.
I shook his hand and he'd laugh what we were talking about. We were talking about diabetes because I know he has
Yeah.
diabetes. We were talking about health stuff. What a nice man.
Oh, man.
I think the other moment was Don Rickles. I had the chance to meet Don Rickles backstage at a show here. I've had some great memories in Vegas of meeting some pretty incredible people, but that's right up there.
When I played the 25th anniversary of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, U2, we were touring with them. They asked us to play Words of Love in their set.
Oh, wow.
And so I got to play it with them. And
With U2.
With U2.
Wow.
And backstage, I was standing next to Jeff Beck, who I met.
Wow.
Next to Bruce Springsteen.
Oh, my
and
God.
Everyone was waiting in line to meet B.B. King.
Wow.
And Jeff knew him. And so he was the first person to talk to him. but no one got to meet him because he was surrounded by so many people, and I definitely did not get to meet him.
I was extremely lucky that I had about 2 minutes to be able to talk to him, and it was
there was two people that I really miss not meeting, and I was in the same room with them.
Who's that?
BB King and the guy above my shoulder, Muhammad Ali, and it was in
Wow.
the same room with them, but they were just surrounded by people and never got to meet them.
First of all, it's crazy that I've met these people and you haven't. Let me just say that, number one. Muhammad Ali, I believe it was his 70th birthday. It was a gala celebration. It's where I met will.i.am. So will.i.am was at the event that I met Muhammad Ali, and I met will.i.am there, and it was the Lou Ruvo Brain Institute. It was the Keep Memory Alive. So Muhammad Ali is there with his entire family. And that was one of the best days of my life because I also met James Gandolfini, the late, because I'm a huge Sopranos fan. James Gandolfini was there. I met the late Larry King was there. I'm at a table. This is probably the craziest story. I don't think I've ever told this on the air. Maybe I have. Craziest story ever. So it was like a huge dinner, and I have a media credential because I had just interviewed people on the red carpet, and they let me into the venue, and I found a seat at a table. To my right is Samuel L. Jackson. To my left is Sir Anthony Hopkins.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I'm sitting next to, and I'm some idiot, I still am, idiot radio host, right? And I have Sir Anthony Hopkins talking. I said, Brian, tell me what it's like to live in Las Vegas. I'm talking to frickin' Sir Anthony Hopkins and Samuel L. Jackson's there, and they could not have been nicer. And the entire Muhammad Ali family is 10 feet away from me, sitting at another table. will.i.am performed. I met the late, great Chris Cornell, who also performed that day. Every top A-plus celebrity was at the MGM Grand in that room, and I'm sitting there, and I'm just, oh my God, it's him. It's him. And I'm like, oh my God. And I met will.i.am, and he was there for charity, and he's obviously a very charitable guy. And
huge.
I got a chance to just 1 minute, I just took a picture with him, and I said, hey,
you know how many people he puts through college?
Oh, it's insane. It's insane what a charitable human being he is. And it's incredible. But that was one of the best nights of my life. Literally, John Legend, everybody was there.
So what was your answer when they asked you, what's it like to live in Vegas?
The conversation and what I remember saying to him was, if you want the quiet lifestyle, you can live 10, 15 minutes outside the strip. You can have that quiet lifestyle, and it's actually a beautiful place to live. That's debatable with some of the parties you go to, but that's debatable.
But I get to go home and and literally I live northwest, so I'm right by Lone Mountain, and it's like camping at my house.
Well, that's what I told him, though, George. I said, you can live that quiet lifestyle, and it's the entertainment capital of the world, some of the best restaurants ever. I love it here because it's got that big city vibe sometimes, but then it's got that small town vibe in other places. So I told him I loved it. And I remember Samuel L. Jackson. I think I'm trying to remember if I was his wife or his girlfriend, but she's like, man, there's no way I could live here. You know, I'd lose all my money. And
a lot of people say that. Yeah.
They're so nice. And if you just treat them like normal people and not celebrities, you can have great conversation with them. And that's what it was. It was a night
exactly how it is.
Yeah.
It's like, if you just treat them.
I try to do that with people. I try.
Treat them the same way that you would treat your mother. It always works.
I try. I try to do that with people, and people are like, Brian, how do you know this person? How are you friends with that person? And I always respond by saying, yes, I met them through my radio show, but I treat them like anybody else.
Yeah.
Like I'll be texting Vivica A. Fox about basketball all the time because she loves basketball.
Yeah.
We have that in common, right? And like one of my favorite musicians growing up is a guy by the name of Richard Patrick. Nowhere near accomplished of what your accomplishments are, but I grew up with the band Filter, and I love his music. And I found out that, you know, he listens to my show, and then we became friends. And I'm like,
awesome.
I took him to a Raiders game, and you know, rarely do we talk about music. We talk more about politics. And I was hanging out with him in LA, and we went to I don't remember the record store. It starts with a B. And it's like a very famous vinyl record store in LA near the Hollywood sign. God, I don't remember the name of the store. It's a very famous record store.
Not Amoeba.
Yes, I think it was Amoeba. You got it. So me and Richard, we go into Amoeba, right? And I'm just having fun with them. I'm like, Richard, let's go see if they have any of your albums. And they do. And then we kind of took a video. I'm like, hey, Richard, is this a good album? We're just having fun.
I've done it.
It's so fun. Cool, right? Right. We had so much fun, and he's just having a good time with him, right? And he's such a nice guy. And when you meet people, at least for me, and I'm sure you're the same way, that you grew up with idolizing as musicians or actors, and then they turn out to be the nicest, coolest people.
Some of the best plane rides I've ever had was sitting, because I'm lucky enough now to, you know, I sit in business. So it happens where, you know, I sit next to, football players. I sat next to Max Crosby once.
Oh, he's a great guy.
And his
He's
family.
super
And he
cool,
was
yeah.
so nice.
Really nice guy.
So nice.
Yep.
And I had the best time just talking football with him.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that.
we didn't talk about music once, and he knew
Yeah.
who I was, and he had gone to one of our shows,
Yeah.
and all was about
I love
a
that.
mutual
I love
common love.
A friend of mine who I become very close friends with, who I grew up with watching play in the NBA. We're going to go watch the NBA practices after this show. And I don't take any of that stuff for granted. Let's take a few more calls because we're almost out of time here. And thanks so much for your time, George. Who are we going to next? Let's go to Frankie. Frankie is next up on PTL. Hi, Frankie. You're on with George. Go ahead.
Hi. Doing well today?
Yeah,
Yes,
doing great.
Absolutely.
What's on your mind today, Frankie?
Well, I just wanted to wish you a happy Hanukkah.
Oh, well, that's very nice of you. Thank you. Thank you.
And I guess if you're talking about meeting a famous person, this past summer I met Weird Al Yankovic.
Oh, I love
Awesome.
George worked with him, right? You worked with Weird Al.
Well, I didn't work with him. Here's the best part: not working with him. He actually did a parody of my song.
Really?
Let's Get It Started, and I won a Grammy for that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is awesome. I love Weird Al. I love
Yeah,
him.
me too.
Yeah.
How about Weird Al still sells out stadiums?
Yeah.
It's
He's
amazing.
very, very talented.
Yeah,
and-
he's
and-
amazing.
And very funny, Frankie. I love Weird Al. He's great.
Well, I guess that's all for now. Let's
Thank you,
take
Frankie.
Another call.
Have a
Frankie.
good,
Nice
have a good
meeting you.
holiday, Frankie. Thank you for the phone call. I appreciate it. Let's go to 702-221-7283. Let's go to TK. TK is next up on PTL. Hi, TK. You're on with George. Go right ahead.
Thanks, Brian. I appreciate this.
Sure.
I was calling in because I just absolutely love your guest, George, today.
Thank you.
And George, you've got such a warmth about you that you bring people in. Not that Brian doesn't.
No, I don't always do that. Let me be very clear. I don't always bring people in, okay? I'll be clear on that, but that's okay. Go ahead.
Well, the thing is when you were talking about your Cuban ancestry, I was really good friends with Raul, who, just passed away.
Yeah.
And so as you're talking and you were talking about coming over here, your family, and he was really close to his mom and his Cuban ancestry and what they did, what he's done or what he did with his music. You guys have a lot of similarities, but in a different way. But that warmth, the Cuban warmth is there. And I just want to say, I enjoy it.
Thank you. You cannot say any truer word about me. I'm a mama's boy. I love my parents. I love my dad, but my mom is, and my wife says that about me all the time. And I'm very, very, very lucky that I was raised the way I have, I think, one divorce in my family. My parents have been married over 50 years. My grandparents were married over 50 years, both sides. That's what I idolized.
Sure.
I say this humbly. I'm married now, and if it for some reason doesn't work out, or I only want to get married once because of what I watched my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
Is I have that much love and that much pride for marriage. I love being married. I love that I have my wife and how we met and everything. And that was all because of the warmth of my family and the warmth of how I was raised. And I'm very lucky that that's why I'm this way, because I just love life and love people.
Go ahead, TK.
Well, no, thanks, Brent. One of the things, too, years ago, I think you and I met. I used to work with Walter Miller. I'm sure you've got to recall who Walter is. He did the Grammys with Pierre Cassette and everything like that. So as I was looking at you, I kept thinking, I know him. Well, we've met, is what I'm saying.
Yep.
But I just want you to know, you can see that you appreciate everything. And I'm just really honored that I got the opportunity to call in and speak with you. So thank you so much.
Thanks,
I appreciate
Thank you
that.
for your phone call. For the record, I just met George last week, and he could not have been nicer. And he was telling me some of these stories, and I'm like, man, this guy's fascinating. Obviously, I knew him for his work, and and all of the music that he's written and the talent that he is. But his stories are I think, just as good. I mean, the stories that you have and the people that you've met. But I'll be honest with you, I did not know that you wrote Yes We Can. I did not know that. And that's pretty cool.
And the beauty of that is that it happened organically for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very lucky that song touched so many people, and it helped a chapter in the history of America. And that is an honor that you cannot. I'll tell you, when I left, when you said, do you still think that's one of the coolest things? I'm going to tell you what's one of the cooler.
We only have about 2 minutes, so go ahead. Yep.
One of the cooler things, I'll say it quickly.
Okay.
There was toothbrushes that had songs in it.
Mm-hmm.
I have a plaque for selling 3 million toothbrushes with the song Let's Get It Started. And so I saved how many teeth?
How many cavities?
Yeah.
That's actually really funny. Well, George, I just want to say it's a pleasure. We just met last week. It's a pleasure to meet you. We got to hit up the blackjack tables together.
Yeah,
one of these
absolutely.
Days. We got to have some
love
fun.
to.
But I thank you so much for coming in, especially I think you're on like 2 or 3 hours of sleep. So
yeah.
I appreciate that. Your stories are incredible, and you're an incredible artist. I got to go see you at the barbershop too. I want to see you
please.
perform over one of these days.
I built the band just to have fun in Vegas and perform. And, I don't tour as much as I used to. And so I love playing. And so, I play at barbershop, and there's more
Let me know
places.
when the next gig is.
I know
I'll
it is January 14th.
Okay, January 14th. I'm there.
Yeah.
And that's going to be at the barbershop.
Yes.
Okay, good. And we have
Wednesday.
I will be there.
Yes.
I will 100% be there as long as Steve comes too. I got to get Steve out there too.
You got to get him to come.
George, thank you so much for being here. It's an honor and a pleasure, and I really appreciate you coming in.
One more.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's an honor for me to be here. Caspian's on January 5th.
Okay, I don't think I've ever been there. Caspian's.
It's barbershop number 2. They own that venue. So
are you going to be hanging out New Year's Eve at Ellis Island?
That's a good one. I think I might do that.
All right.
I've been invited to go see John Fogerty.
Oh, that's
so maybe after that
Kings of Leon. I've been invited to see Kings of Leon, but I don't know if I'm going to make that one.
No, here's the thing that you don't know quickly. If you play on New Year's Eve, you're not allowed to go past 10:30 because they want the New Year to happen on the floor. So you could do both.
It's at the Venetian. Okay, well, maybe I will do both. George, it's a pleasure to meet you, my friend. I appreciate you being here. I hope you come on again sometime down the road.
Absolutely.
You're brilliant at what you do, and you're a good dude. And I really do appreciate you being here. Hey, everybody, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. We can't take any more calls. It's the end of the show, but I hope you guys have a great weekend. I will be back live at it on Monday with Z Cohen, the founder of the UNF America Tour, which I'm a part of. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super.